Hello, Mr. Jeremy Rifkin. Thank you so much for your time, for your interview. I mean, I know that you have interview after interview, but you did make the time for Arirang TV. Welcome to Korea.
My pleasure. Nice to be here.
This is your first time, actually?
No, I've been here a number of times, but it's been quite a few years.
Have you even gotten the chance to explore?
Well, I had a long trip to KAIST University yesterday to lecture, so that was about 2.5 hours each way.
So let's bring all of this back to Korea then. You did not only mention the Third Industrial Revolution, but Korea playing a very important role for this.
Yes, it's interesting, and let me explain why I think Korea can play an important role. Let me put it in context again. The first and second industrial revolutions, as I said in the book, it scaled vertically. You have elite energies, centralized electricity. It's very expensive. So you have to have centralized factories, centralized logistics, centralized transport. And it scaled to national economies and national governments. The third industrial revolution, because it's lateral, it scales to continental markets and continental political unions. And it's going to come in like Wi-Fi, you know, house to house, neighborhood to neighborhood until you connect the continent. When you put the third industrial revolution in, as a city creates a node, a 5-pillar node, it immediately wants to find other nodes. Because when it has good weather and the sun is shining, the wind's blowing, it wants to sell some of its surplus electricity to another city, maybe halfway down the continent. When another city down the continent has good weather, it wants to share its green electricity with you. So you have to think of thousands of nodes connected. It's like an internet, thousands of nodes connected sharing energy. Now, here's where Korea fits in. The European Union is making this the next stage of its integration by creating a continental market, and it actually is a political union across the continent. So 1 billion people will be able to share energy, share commerce, and trade. 500 million in the union, 500 million in their partnership regions. The Asian Union is forming right now. ASEAN, 10 Southeast Asian countries, and now Korea, Japan, China are trying to figure out how they fit into this continental union. Korea, I think, can play a major role as a bridge to move this third industrial revolution across Asia. The 5 pillars and the continental market and the creation of a continental political union. Number one, Korea has a lot of renewable energy. You're a peninsula. You have huge wind reserves off the coast, huge tidal wave and energy wave reserves for energy, a lot of hot geothermal energy, and high solar radiance. Number two, you have world-class industries here that are perfect for the 5 pillars. Pillar 1, renewable energies, you need to ratchet up there. But Pillar 2, construction, you have world-class shipbuilding and construction industry here. You could convert every single building and develop the new technology that allow buildings to become power plants. Pillar 3, hydrogen storage, you're very advanced in electronics. And Pillar 4, the smart grid, the energy internet, you have IT companies here.
Well-connected country.
Absolutely, you have electronics and IT. And Pillar 5, you've got the transport. You've got Hyundai, you've got Kia. So you're in a good position technologically with the skill sets to introduce these 5 pillars. What you have to do now in Korea, Korea has to lay down the infrastructure across Korea. You're very well connected on broadband. Now you have to connect your internet to your energies, so there are nodes all over this country sharing energy, sharing the technology. Then you're going to export it to Asia on the continent and help lay out this infrastructure. You don't export the individual components. Your industries come together and they export the entire infrastructure across Asia. The other thing is you are geographically interested and located because you're on the peninsula of Asia, but you then bridge to Japan, Australia, the Philippines, and the countries of the Pacific. Along the edge. So I think Korea was the poster child of the last part of the second industrial revolution. It was the developing country that made it the quickest and the best in the last 40 years. But you were the last to come in. Now you have an opportunity to be the first to lead a third industrial revolution. So not catch up, but lead. And I'm here with your government today. I met with your president, very, very progressive political leader. I've been meeting with your ministries. And Korea, under your President Bak, has now committed itself to a green growth strategy. And they're laying out all the 5 pillars of this third industrial revolution. And they're now bringing other countries in. So it's an interesting example of a relatively newcomer in the legions of power actually developing a flagship role for other countries. So I'm guardedly hopeful that with Korea's green growth strategy, with this President Bak in power, and with Korean industries really moving to pursue this, Korea could be along with Germany and maybe Japan, a real leader in this.
So, like you mentioned, being that President Lee is such a big supporter of this green growth initiative, we're still the seventh country in terms of carbon footprint.
Yeah.
What would you say remains for us in terms
Well,
of
I've been saying this to your government people here. While the narrative is there, and you want to make the commitment to this third industrial revolution, and you're even testing, you're the most advanced testing of smart grid in this part of the world. You have a little island off Korea where they're testing the energy internet with thousands of homes right now. However, you are really not, you are behind on energy. In other words, 66% of your energy here is coal and oil. You're getting killed because the high price of these energies means you can't be competitive in the global market with your industries, with these energies. Then 1/3 of your energy is still nuclear. Everyone else is phasing out, and Korea seems to be phasing more in. As you know, Italy has left nuclear power. Germany has left nuclear power. Francois Hollande just won in France. I met with him 2 months ago. They made the third industrial revolution the centerpiece for their reindustrialization. And now in Japan, all nuclear power is shut down, and I doubt whether they're going to open it up. In fact, my morning speech today was a joint speech with Masayoshi Son, the CEO of SoftBank, the Bill Gates of Japan. And Mr. Son and I are page to page on the same page. He wants to see a smart grid, an energy internet across Asia, and he's willing to put the finances behind it to do that. So I think only 2% of your energy is renewable right now.
So basically, we're sitting on this gold mine
Of renewable energy,
potential,
and you're not using it.
and we're looking at other sources.
It's nuts. It's criminal, actually. Because, I mean, to spend all the money in coal, oil, and nuclear, where the prices are volatile, going up, high risk, climate change, and the potential of meltdowns, when you have huge renewable energies and you're using less than 2%, this makes no sense. So I think your government understands that. It takes a while to get the wheels rolling. My discussions have said to me that they're going to move very aggressively on the energy mix. They're moving on Pillar 4, the energy internet. They haven't yet started on buildings. I've traveled across the area here in Seoul. You don't have many buildings converted with solar panels at all, or heat pumps or wind turbines.
So Pillar 2 needs some work.
Well, look at Germany. Germany is now, it's a leading industrial power in the world per capita. I've been advising the Chancellor since she came in. They're really moving. Pillar 1, they're 20% green electricity already. They're heading to 35% green electricity by 2020. Korea's goal is only 10% by 2022. I think that's going to change because they're on fire here in Korea to be a world-class player here. Pillar 2, Germany has actually converted 1 million buildings, 1 million buildings, so there's some partial power plants. Pillar 3, they're putting in hydrogen storage across the infrastructure. Pillar 4, they're testing that smart grid in 6 regions of Germany. And Pillar 5, Daimler-Benz, that created the internal combustion engine, they're setting up fueling stations for their hydrogen car for 2015. So I think Germany has been the leader up to now. The European Union's committed to this. But now the president of Korea, your industries here, they're saying, watch us. We move fast on the second industrial revolution. Watch us here on the third. And my discussions have shown that they are developing step by step these 5 pillars. Now we got to move it much quickly into practice so Korea can then say, we've done it here, let's export it to the world.
And just to reiterate, short-term, obviously the long-term goal of being for this greater source of energy, but short-term goal, I think this could potentially really put the problem of the jobless rate under control.
Eliminate it. Germany created 370,000 net jobs in Pillar 1 and 2, renewable energies and converting the buildings, and they haven't even started yet. So when people say, where are the jobs, it's not enough to have austerity. We now need a growth plan. You can't grow a second industrial revolution that's dying with old energies, old technologies, and old infrastructure. So we need a third industrial revolution, and when we lay down the infrastructure, millions of jobs day one. Because you have to convert all your energies to renewables, millions of jobs. Pillar 2, you have to convert every building in Korea. That's huge amounts of jobs for 30 years to convert them to power plants. Pillar 3, you have to put in storage, hydrogen across the country. That's a lot of jobs. Pillar 4, you have to change the entire electricity grid of Korea. That's a huge amount of jobs. And Pillar 5, you have to convert your transport to electric vehicle and hydrogen fuel cell logistics. So the moment you start to create public-private partnerships in every city and every region of Korea and lay down infrastructure, the jobs and businesses are day one. They go on for 40 years. Then you live off the infrastructure for another 30 after that.
Well, just to wrap up our session with you, is there anything else you wanted to touch upon?
Well, I'm guardedly hopeful because all over the world we have a younger generation that's moving from geopolitics to biosphere consciousness. Here in Korea and all over the world, the kids are coming home and they're saying to Dad, "Why are you using so much water when you shave?" They're saying to Mom, "Why is the TV on when no one's watching it? We're wasting electricity. Why do we have 2 cars when we can do car sharing and have 1 car?" The kids are realizing all over the world that everything they do has an ecological footprint that affects the well-being of some other family or some other creature or some other ecosystem on the planet. The kids are connecting the dots and realizing we are all part of one biosphere. We're totally interconnected. We're responsible for each other and our fellow creatures. That is a great shift in consciousness. That could be the basis of an empathic civilization for the next generation. That makes me guardedly hopeful.
Mm-hmm. When we read reports about how the Earth is dying and whatnot, and listening to this plan of this shift into the third industrial revolution, I think a lot of our viewers are probably feeling heartily hopeful as well. Well, we hope you enjoy the rest of your stay here in Korea,
Sure I will.
and I'm sure we'll be seeing much more of you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being with you.